10 fruits and vegetables your French Bulldog should never eat. As a veterinary professional who has treated hundreds of French Bulldogs over the past decade, I can tell you that this breed's unique physiology makes them particularly vulnerable to certain foods that might be harmless to other dogs. What I'm about to share with you could literally save your Frenchie's life. French Bulldogs have compressed airways, sensitive digestive systems, and genetic predispositions that make them react more severely to toxic foods than other breeds. The cases I've seen in my emergency clinic have taught me that prevention is absolutely critical when it comes to these adorable but fragile companions. Let me start with number 10 on our countdown, and trust me, by the time we get to number 1, you'll understand why French Bulldog owners need to be extra vigilant about what goes into their dog's mouth. Number 10, mushrooms. Now, I'm not talking about the button mushrooms you buy at the grocery store, though even those can cause digestive upset in French Bulldogs due to their sensitive stomachs. I'm talking about wild mushrooms that your Frenchie might encounter during walks or in your backyard. French Bulldogs are notorious for being curious eaters, and their low-to-the-ground build means they're constantly sniffing and potentially ingesting things they shouldn't. Wild mushrooms contain compounds called muscarine and ibotenic acid. When a French Bulldog consumes these, their already compromised respiratory system can be further stressed. I've treated French Bulldogs who developed severe breathing difficulties, excessive drooling, and neurological symptoms after eating wild mushrooms. The combination of their brachycephalic airways and mushroom toxicity creates a perfect storm. One case that still haunts me involved a 2-year-old French Bulldog named Marcel, who found some wild mushrooms in his owner's garden. Within 30 minutes, he was struggling to breathe and had begun vomiting. His flat face and narrow airways made the respiratory distress even more dangerous than it would be for other breeds. The takeaway here is simple. Never let your French Bulldog near wild mushrooms, and even store-bought mushrooms should be avoided. Number 9, rhubarb. This is one that surprises many French Bulldog owners because rhubarb is commonly used in human desserts and seems harmless. However, rhubarb contains high levels of oxalic acid and oxalates. French Bulldogs have a genetic predisposition to kidney issues, and the oxalates in rhubarb can crystallize in their kidneys, leading to kidney stones or even kidney failure. The oxalic acid also binds to calcium in their system, which can cause hypocalcemia. I remember treating a French Bulldog named Bijou, whose owner had been giving her small pieces of rhubarb from their garden, thinking it was a healthy treat. Over several weeks, Bijou developed kidney stones that required surgical removal. The surgery was particularly risky because of her breathing issues under anesthesia. French Bulldogs already face challenges with anesthesia due to their airway structure, so any condition that requires surgical intervention becomes doubly dangerous. The symptoms of rhubarb poisoning in French Bulldogs include excessive drooling, difficulty swallowing, vomiting, and lethargy. Because French Bulldogs can't regulate their body temperature as effectively as other breeds, the dehydration from vomiting becomes critical much faster. Never give your French Bulldog any part of the rhubarb plant. Number 8, leeks. Leeks belong to the allium family just like onions and garlic, but they're often overlooked as a toxic food. Leeks contain N-propyl disulfide, which damages red blood cells in dogs, leading to hemolytic anemia. French Bulldogs are particularly susceptible because their compact body structure means they have a smaller blood volume relative to their body weight. When red blood cells are destroyed, French Bulldogs can quickly become anemic and weak. I've seen French Bulldogs develop what we call Heinz body anemia after consuming leeks. The damaged red blood cells can't carry oxygen effectively, and given that French Bulldogs already have compromised oxygen intake due to their flat faces, this becomes life-threatening quickly. A French Bulldog named Gus came into my clinic after his owner had been adding leeks to his homemade dog food, thinking they were providing extra nutrition. Gus presented with pale gums, weakness, and rapid breathing. His breathing was already labored due to his breed characteristics, but the anemia made it critical. We had to provide oxygen support and blood transfusions. The recovery was lengthy because French Bulldogs take longer to bounce back from anemia due to their baseline respiratory challenges. Even small amounts of leeks can be problematic, so keep all allium vegetables away from your Frenchie. Number 7, starfruit, also known as carambola. This tropical fruit contains high levels of oxalic acid and potassium oxalate. While it might seem like an exotic, healthy treat, starfruit is particularly dangerous for French Bulldogs because of their predisposition to kidney problems. The oxalates in starfruit can cause acute kidney injury, and French Bulldogs' kidneys are already working harder due to their body structure and genetic factors. I treated a French Bulldog named Luna, whose family had recently returned from vacation in Florida and brought back Starfruit as a souvenir. They shared small pieces with Luna, thinking they were giving her a special treat. Within hours, Luna was vomiting and showing signs of kidney distress. Starfruit toxicity in French Bulldogs can cause neurological symptoms, including confusion, seizures, and even coma. Because French Bulldogs are prone to neurological issues due to their skull structure, the neurological effects of Starfruit can be amplified. Luna experienced mild seizures, which were terrifying for her family to witness. The high potassium content in Starfruit can also affect heart rhythm, and French Bulldogs already have a higher incidence of heart problems compared to other breeds. The combination of kidney stress and potential cardiac effects makes Starfruit extremely dangerous for this breed. Always avoid giving your French Bulldog any tropical fruits you're not absolutely certain are safe. Number 6. Raw potatoes and potato skins. While cooked potatoes in small amounts might be okay for some dogs, raw potatoes and potato skins contain solanine and chaconine, which are glycoalkaloid compounds. French Bulldogs have sensitive digestive systems, and these compounds can cause severe gastrointestinal upset, but more importantly, they can affect the nervous system. I've seen French Bulldogs develop what appears to be neurological distress after consuming raw potato skins. The symptoms include drooling, difficulty swallowing, and disorientation. Given that French Bulldogs already have challenges with their swallowing mechanisms due to their flat faces and elongated soft palates, any additional difficulty swallowing becomes dangerous. A French Bulldog named Pierre came to my clinic after getting into a bag of potato peels his owner had set aside for composting. Pierre developed severe vomiting and diarrhea, but more concerning was his disorientation and difficulty walking. French Bulldogs have a higher center of gravity due to their body structure, so any neurological impairment that affects balance becomes particularly problematic. Pierre kept falling over and seemed confused about his surroundings. The solanine was affecting his central nervous system, and combined with his breed's natural breathing difficulties, he was in serious distress. We had to provide supportive care, including IV fluids and anti-nausea medications. The recovery took several days because French Bulldogs' digestive systems are slower to recover from toxic insults. Keep all raw potatoes and potato skins well away from your French Bulldog. Number 5. Persimmons. These sweet fruits contain high levels of tannins and can cause intestinal blockages, which is particularly dangerous for French Bulldogs. The seeds and pits of persimmons can cause mechanical blockages, but even the flesh of the fruit can cause problems. French Bulldogs have shorter, more compact digestive tracts, which means blockages develop faster and are more serious. The tannins in persimmons can also cause severe stomach upset and diarrhea. I remember a case involving a French Bulldog named Coco who had gotten into a bowl of persimmons left on a low coffee table. French Bulldogs are notorious counter surfers despite their short stature, and Coco had managed to consume several whole persimmons. Within 6 hours, Coco was vomiting and showing signs of intestinal distress. The persimmon pulp had formed a mass in her stomach that wasn't moving through her digestive system. French Bulldogs are also prone to gastric dilatation, and the persimmon mass was causing her stomach to distend. We had to perform emergency surgery to remove the persimmon mass. The surgery was complicated by Coco's breathing difficulties under anesthesia, which is always a concern with brachycephalic breeds. The persimmon seeds can also cause choking, which is extremely dangerous for French Bulldogs who already have compromised airways. Their shortened trachea and elongated soft palate mean that any obstruction in the throat can quickly become life-threatening. Never allow your French Bulldog access to persimmons in any form. Number 4. Elderberries. While elderberry supplements are popular for humans, the raw elderberry plant contains cyanogenic glycosides, particularly in the bark, seeds, and leaves. Even the berries themselves can cause problems for French Bulldogs. These compounds release cyanide when digested, and French Bulldogs' smaller body size means they reach toxic levels much faster than larger breeds. Cyanide poisoning affects oxygen transport in the blood, which is particularly dangerous for French Bulldogs who already have compromised oxygen intake due to their flat faces and narrow nostrils. I treated a French Bulldog named Duchess, who had been foraging in her owner's backyard where wild elderberry bushes grew. Duchess had consumed berries, leaves, and small twigs. She developed rapid breathing, which initially her owner attributed to normal French Bulldog breathing patterns, but then she began showing signs of distress, including bright red gums and excessive panting. Cyanide poisoning causes what we call cherry red blood because the blood can't release oxygen to the tissues effectively. In French Bulldogs, this is particularly dangerous because their blood oxygen levels are already lower than optimal due to their breathing restrictions. Duchess also develop seizures, which are a sign of severe cyanide toxicity. French Bulldogs are already predisposed to neurological issues due to their skull shape and brain structure, so the neurological effects of cyanide poisoning can be more severe and longer lasting in this breed. We had to provide immediate oxygen therapy and supportive care. The treatment was complicated because we couldn't use certain medications that might further compromise her breathing. Duchess survived, but her recovery took weeks, and she had some lingering neurological effects. The lesson here is clear. Keep your French Bulldog away from any elderberry plants and never give them elderberry products intended for humans. Number 3, figs. Fresh figs contain phycin, a proteolytic enzyme that can cause severe skin and mouth irritation in French Bulldogs. But the real danger lies in the high fiber content and natural sugars that can cause digestive chaos in these sensitive dogs. French Bulldogs have notoriously sensitive stomachs, and figs can trigger severe diarrhea and vomiting that can quickly lead to dehydration. I've treated several French Bulldogs who developed what I call fig poisoning syndrome. The phycin enzyme causes oral irritation, making it painful for them to eat or drink. Combined with their already compromised swallowing mechanisms due to their elongated soft palates, this creates a dangerous situation where they can't maintain proper hydration. A French Bulldog named Bonaparte came to my clinic after his owner found him in their backyard fig tree area with fig juice all over his face and paws. Within 2 hours, Bonaparte's mouth was swollen, he was drooling excessively, and he had developed severe diarrhea. The swelling in his mouth was particularly concerning because French Bulldogs already have crowded oral cavities due to their shortened skulls. Any additional swelling can compromise their already limited airway space. Bonaparte couldn't eat or drink properly for 3 days, and we had to provide IV fluid support and anti-inflammatory medications. The high sugar content in figs can also cause rapid spikes in blood glucose, which French Bulldogs don't handle well due to their predisposition to diabetes. The fiber content can cause intestinal blockages, especially when combined with their slower digestive transit times. Keep your French Bulldog away from fig trees and never offer figs as treats. Number 2, nutmeg. This common spice contains myristicin, a compound that's highly toxic to dogs, especially French Bulldogs. Even small amounts of nutmeg can cause hallucinations, seizures, and central nervous system depression in French Bulldogs. Their smaller body size means they reach toxic levels with just a tiny amount. I'll never forget the case of a French Bulldog named Biscuit who got into his owner's spice cabinet during holiday baking season. Biscuit had knocked over a container of ground nutmeg and consumed what appeared to be just a small amount. Within an hour, Biscuit was acting completely disoriented. He was walking into walls, seemed to be seeing things that weren't there, and was making unusual vocalizations. French Bulldogs are already prone to neurological sensitivities due to their brain structure being compressed into their shortened skulls, so the neurological effects of nutmeg toxicity were amplified. Biscuit developed tremors and then full seizures. The myristicin in nutmeg affects the central nervous system by interfering with neurotransmitter function. In French Bulldogs, whose brains are already under pressure from their skull conformation, this interference can cause more severe and prolonged symptoms. Biscuit required anti-seizure medications and intensive monitoring for 48 hours. The hallucinations lasted for over 12 hours, during which he was clearly terrified and confused. French Bulldogs also metabolize toxins more slowly than other breeds due to their liver size relative to their body weight, so the effects of nutmeg poisoning last longer. Even after Biscuit recovered, he had some lingering anxiety and behavioral changes that took weeks to resolve. Nutmeg is found in many holiday foods, baked goods, and spice blends, so be extra vigilant during cooking and baking seasons. And now, number 1, cherries. While the flesh of cherries might seem harmless, the real danger lies in the pits, stems, and leaves, which contain cyanogenic compounds that release hydrogen cyanide when digested. But here's what makes cherries particularly dangerous for French Bulldogs. Even pitted cherries can cause problems due to their high sugar content and potential for intestinal upset. But the real killer is that French Bulldog owners often don't realize their dogs have consumed the pits until it's too late. French Bulldogs are enthusiastic eaters who don't chew their food thoroughly due to their shortened jaws and crowded teeth. This means they're likely to swallow cherry pits whole, creating both a choking hazard and a cyanide poisoning risk. I treated a French Bulldog named Amelie who had gotten into a bowl of fresh cherries at a summer barbecue. Her owners thought she had only eaten the flesh, but Amelie had actually consumed several whole cherries, pits included. The first sign of trouble was when Amelie began having difficulty breathing, which her owners initially attributed to the heat and her normal French Bulldog breathing patterns. But then she began vomiting and showing signs of distress. The cherry pits were releasing cyanide as they moved through her digestive system, and the cyanide was preventing her blood from carrying oxygen effectively. This is catastrophic for French Bulldogs who already have compromised oxygen intake. Amelie's gums turned bright red, a classic sign of cyanide poisoning, and she began having seizures. We had to perform emergency surgery to remove the remaining cherry pits from her stomach while simultaneously treating the cyanide poisoning. The surgery was high risk because French Bulldogs have difficulty with anesthesia due to their airway structure. Amelie survived, but she required intensive care for a week and had some permanent neurological damage from the oxygen deprivation. The cherry pits can also cause intestinal blockages, and the stems and leaves contain even higher concentrations of cyanogenic compounds. Even maraschino cherries, which don't have pits, are dangerous due to their extremely high sugar content and artificial additives that French Bulldogs can't process effectively. Never allow your French Bulldog access to any type of cherries. Now let me share a bonus item that's particularly relevant for French Bulldog owners: xylitol containing fruits and vegetables. While xylitol is an artificial sweetener, it's now being found naturally in some fruits and vegetables, including certain varieties of plums and berries. Xylitol causes rapid insulin release in dogs, leading to severe hypoglycemia. French Bulldogs are particularly susceptible because of their smaller liver size and slower metabolism. I've seen French Bulldogs go into hypoglycemic shock within minutes of consuming xylitol-containing products. A French Bulldog named Gigi consumed sugar-free gum that had fallen out of her owner's purse, and within 15 minutes, she was having seizures and had lost consciousness. French Bulldogs' brains are particularly sensitive to glucose fluctuations due to their compressed skull structure, so hypoglycemia can cause rapid and severe neurological symptoms. We had to provide emergency glucose support and intensive monitoring. Gigi recovered, but many dogs don't survive xylitol poisoning, especially smaller breeds like French Bulldogs. Always check labels and be aware that xylitol is being added to more and more products, including some fruits and vegetables that are processed or packaged. The key takeaway for French Bulldog owners is that this breed's unique physiology makes them more vulnerable to food toxicities than other dogs. Their compressed airways, sensitive digestive systems, smaller body size, and genetic predispositions mean that foods that might cause mild upset in other breeds can be life-threatening for French Bulldogs. Prevention is absolutely critical. Keep these 10 foods completely away from your French Bulldog, and when in doubt, always consult with your veterinarian before introducing any new foods to their diet. Thanks for watching this edition of French Bulldog Health Secrets. Click that subscribe button to get more breed-specific health information. Hit the bell icon for notifications when I post new videos about keeping your Frenchie healthy and safe, and click the link in the description below where I'll send you a free copy of my comprehensive guide to French Bulldog nutrition and safety.